I can't even get over how much talent this person has. It's simply unfair. Please welcome to the Bananamore stage, Rachel Feinstein.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here. It's nice to be here in front of this Nana's sign. I'm married to a firefighter. I think he's a fireman. He could just be a stripper with the fireman costume. But the hard thing about being married to a fireman is, like, you can't change his mind about anything because the men at the firehouse have access to my husband's brain for like half the week. Like, he'll come home with conspiracy theories. He'll be like, Vinny said they legit never went to the moon. I'm like, don't believe anything Vinny says, especially after he says legit. This is my life now. I just have to go to these Staten Island dinner dances with the other fire spouses, and he'll just deposit me somewhere at some shrimp station. One of the Vinnies just goes to me, you gotta come with me and my wife to Epcot. And then he goes, that's the real Japan, sweetheart. That's Japan. With no irony whatsoever. He goes, people think you gotta spend all this dough flying all the way to Japan, but it's a scam. He referred to traveling the world as a scam and Epcot as reality somehow. He goes, but it's not true because it's all right there and we got a timeshare there. But it's confusing for me because I get infuriated by them, but then I'm actively aroused by all of them. It's just a very confusing sensation. And it's hard right now to be with the first responder because it's really hard to argue when we're on the street and he's in his uniform. Because people just stop my husband and they'll be like, thank you for your service. I'm like, he's actually being kind of an right now and I'm in the middle of a point. So it's weird. And our families are completely opposite. Like, my mom is aggressively liberal. She loves complaining about Trump. My mom will blame anything on Trump. She'll be like, I haven't slept a wink since this JERK was in office. I'm like, you had sleep apnea years before Trump. And also, why are you spelling jerk? It's not a bad word. And I don't know if anybody has a parent like this, but my mother overshares. That's how we connect in my family. Every time I'm alone with my mother, she'll just tell me something I never wanted to know. She'll have one mudslide. Who drinks mudslides anymore? No one in the world, except Karen Feinstein. One slide with my mom, and just hits the fan. She'll be like, fine, there was a year when I did consider leaving your father. I'm like, I don't want to know that. She's like, I called it my dark year. I'm like, you title years of your life? She goes, yes, that was my dark year. That's the year where I would part my hair down the middle. I'm like, you don't know darkness. You teach low impact aerobics. And his family's the opposite. They don't discuss emotions at all. My husband will deny that he has emotions. We were having an argument once, and I come from oversharers, just Jewish oversharers. He'll deny he has an emotional history. We were having an argument once, and I go, I don't know if you've ever had an issue with that. We were discussing something. And he goes, I've never had any issues. I was like, I don't think I've ever even heard anyone declare that. You've never had an issue? He goes, nah, I never had any issues. Not in childhood or after that. It was pretty much a straight shot for me. I'm like, really? Because you just punched the microwave. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. And he can't compliment. I don't know if anybody's married to somebody like this. He doesn't know how. On our wedding day, I was walking down the aisle and he's like, bringing it. I'm like, that's not going to land. That's what you say to a running back, not your wife on her wedding day. He goes, they did a good job with the makeup. I'm like, you're not supposed to mention the makeup. That's actually hurtful. That's like saying, I like the active lie they plastered on your face. We should tip her big for what she was able to do. Wow, true genius, that girl. That's what you say at a wake. They did a good job with the makeup. I thought Marie looked very tasteful in a dress. We just come from a completely opposite, totally opposite families. And my parents, they don't really watch what I do. They just want to talk about world suffering, and his family wants to talk about what they got at Costco. And every time I talk to my parents about if I try to explain to them that I did something on TV, it's exhausting. Trying to tell them how to find something I did on Zoom will put me out for a month. I tried to explain to my mother that I had a special on Netflix. This is an actual conversation I had with her. She goes, we tried to view your Netflix program, but it turned out it was a scam. I'm like, how would the largest streaming service ever personally scam you and Dad? She goes, well, we took all the steps to watch the program. but we were scammed. We went to mailboxes, etc., and we mailed the DVD to them. I'm like, what did Netflix receive at headquarters from my parents? You understand that my mom and dad like masked up and drove to mail something. I don't know what. Was it like a tape of my bat mitzvah? What happened? I have no idea. My mom hates that joke. She's always like, take that one out of your talent show skit. That's what she calls my stand-up, my talent show skit. I had a baby this year, and I was really nervous to have a baby. My worst fear when I had a child, not just because of the pandemic, I was like, what if I don't connect to her? Which I guess that's every mother's like worst fear. I was like, what if I don't like feel anything? And because I'm an oversharer too. And I'm like, I'll just start telling people. I'll be at a barbecue and somebody will be like, oh, that's a cute baby. And I'll be like, isn't it weird that I don't love her? So thank God I do love her, which I guess makes me a hero too.